One of the great things about this film is that there's so much anger in it and passion, but at the same time, when it comes to cinema, it's so restrained in its lyricism. Is that something, as you as an actor, that you felt on the set, that incredible balance of anger and at the same time, let's use art as a way to communicate that?
Yeah, I mean, Spike's got an amazing team, an amazing process, and he doesn't talk to you much, and you don't do a lot of takes. So, again, if I was younger, I think I might have taken it as like, does he not like my performance or something? Now that I've been in a couple films, I'm like, oh, okay, this is just a really confident guy. He'll come in and tell you something if he thinks you need it, but he's just the same way you guys felt in the audience. He just brings the audience through with a firm hand. That's what a great director does. Same thing he does with the actors. He kind of brought us through the experience. I forgot the second part of your question.
Oh my goodness, I was listening to you. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it was about the fact that there is so much anger and passion in what he was trying to say, but then it was
very cathartic for us too. Like my wife and I had just had a daughter, so it was our first, and such a confusing time to bring someone into the world. I mean, I'm sure we all have questions, and no one knows how to answer it. But great thing about being an artist, I don't consider myself as the artist, but I think knowing someone like Spike, who is a true artist, I mean, some of the shots in this thing, some of the stuff he was doing, it wasn't in the script. It was like, came out of Spike's brain. It's so great to be able to help someone say something on a national level. I mean, it's not us saying anything, but to help him say something, if you agree with someone like that, it's like, I don't know, it was like therapy or something.
It needs to be said. I mean, we're living in such absurd times, and one of the things that is incredible about this film is watching all this unraveling, and it is so absurd. But at the same time, it's like, it happened. This is all real.
I thought when we saw it in Cannes, so I hadn't seen it because I was doing another film up in Canada. So I flew to France, and I couldn't believe I was so brought into a film that I was in. Normally, if I'm in it, I don't know, you can kind of see the seams or something. But with this, I was having, I'm sure, the same reaction some of you guys were having at the end. And I felt like it was a horror movie at the end. Like he did this great job of kind of saying, like, oh, we're not in your time. He kind of kept it at arm's length by putting it in the 70s. Mm-hmm. And, he makes a big point of showing how the 70s were such a different time than now. And you get peeks at how it's similar. And then at the end, I thought it was like, remember that horror film where the guy calls and says, the call's coming from inside the house? That's what it felt like to me.
Speaking of horror film, the brilliant Academy Award winner Jordan Peele, who won for Get Out, one of the best films in last year's incredible film. He's one of the producers. Can you tell us about his involvement in the film?
I wasn't part of him talking to the writers because that happened before I was on it. But I know he only had one direction, which was make it funny. He said to the writers, which I thought was such a great. There was already a version of the film, and then Spike and his writer were going to come onto it, and I think that was his direction to Kevin. So, and I understood that in the casting too. I mean,
he specifically said Topher Grace.
Oh, no, I don't think. No one said it except for me, and no one agreed with me at the time. But I think there was an openness to different kinds of actors. Adam's very funny, and JD's very funny. In the end when he's coming in with his head up, these are like jokes, and I think Jordan knew that Spike could figure out that balance, and that it's more seductive to use humor I mean, the trailers I'd see in movie theaters, people were like, "Oh, sweet, I'm gonna go see that, fun action film," and I was like, "Awesome! Like, come on in."